DM, good morning. Welcome to the Milk Road Show, the daily crypto show where we deliver insights that age better than your bank account against inflation. It's February, Friday, February 14th. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. I'm your host, Jay Hamilton, and today we are joined by JP Richardson, CEO of Exodus, one of the best crypto wallets in the space, longtime founder on the show. And we had to get JP on the show because we've been talking a lot about this trend of IPOs coming for crypto companies in America. And JP's company was one of the first to IPO in the US. Exodus is already IPO'd. And we got a great story here, folks. So sit down, grab some milk or a coffee with some milk, and get ready because JP had dinner with Trump in September. And we want to tell you guys about that dinner, but also how that dinner happened, what led up to that dinner, and then what it means for meme coins, crypto, and really the whole space as we go into 2025 and the future and all the political changes and the regulation that's coming. A lot to break down here today. Now, today's episode is brought to you by Consensus. Consensus Hong Kong is next week. If you guys want tickets, 15% off if you use the code MILKROAD. Hit the link in the show notes. Today's episode is also brought to you by Crypto.com credit card, one of my favorite credit cards. Highly recommend you guys check it out. If you guys want to sponsor us, we are always looking for partners of products that we love, that we support, that we think should get in front of our fans. So if you're a crypto project or a crypto company and you want to partner with Milk Road, check out the link in the description to send us a message. And we would love to talk about partnering with you. With that, let's bring on our friend, JP Richardson. Welcome to the Milk Road Show.
Jay, thanks for having me, and happy Valentine's Day to you as well, my friend.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Did you get your girl roses? What'd you do for Valentine's Day?
Oh, you know what? There's actually kind of a funny story here. So last night she was saying, she's like, JP, you know what kind of an animal I would really like actually take care of and love to have, and I had no idea where this was going, and she goes, I would love to have a turtle. And I'm like, you got to be kidding me. A turtle? What? A turtle? And so all of a sudden she goes to YouTube and she starts pulling up these videos of turtles. And she's like, oh, look how cute. There's a turtle sneezing. Look at this. And I'm like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. And I didn't say anything at that moment. But today I started calling around all over town of every
No
pet
way.
store
No
for
way.
turtles. And I tell you what, first three stores I called, they were sold out of turtles, which is wild. That
What?
Yeah, they'd be sold out of turtles. But the fourth store I called, they said we've got 3 turtles. So I'll tell you what, later today I'm gonna go in.
No way.
I'm gonna buy 2 turtles for her, and I'm gonna bring these turtles
Guys.
home tonight, and I'm gonna hand her these turtles, and I hope she loves it. And I hope she wasn't kidding, because I'm not kidding.
Guys, this is amazing. JP, good for you, man. You know how to treat your girl right. I don't think I thought you were gonna say you bought her a turtle meme coin. That's what I I would have just gone on and looked for some turtle meme coin and be like, here you go, honey. Oh, that's great. I just got my wife roses, so I'm not nearly as excited with you. Honestly, I don't think I would have. If she had said she wanted a turtle, I would have been like, great, not here, not in this house. Okay, we digress. Let's talk about Exodus, and let's start with, okay, you had dinner with Trump in September.
Yes.
Give us the quick story on that. What was that like? And then we'll back up to how that actually came to be.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so the dinner was in Trump Tower, and I knew that there was going to be other donors there. I knew it was going to be a small, intimate dinner, but I didn't know which other donors. I didn't know if they were in the crypto industry or not. And so I show up, and I'm in the lobby, and there's the 3 other donors, and these guys are all talking about they're talking about finance. They're talking about Palm Beach and just all these things. I'm like, wow, like, here I am talking to these donors. I'm like, this is really cool. And so we go up the elevator, and there's another resident in the building, and I start talking about Exodus. I start talking about crypto, and just coincidentally, this other person that was not a donor but lived in the building was in the elevator. He's like, oh, whoa, you're a part of Exodus? And I'm like, yeah, I co-founded Exodus. I'm CEO. And he's like, oh, wow. Yeah, I use Exodus. And so that was really cool for these guys that were not crypto guys to hear about Exodus and hear somebody else that's using Exodus. So we're going up the elevator, and opens up, and it's kind of the floor that's only the Trump floor. And of course, naturally, there's Secret Service agents just making sure everything's safe and good. And then there's this big. This is on the other side of the door. You can see it right here. This big, large door that opens up, and in the living room. And anybody can go Google these images. The living room is filled with like this gold motif. And it's just kind of amazing. You're like, wow, like here I am in Trump's living room and with these three other donors, and kind of looking over the New York skyline. But all said, it was just a really fascinating experience to be able to tell our story, because as you alluded to, the whole reason I got to this point of donating to Trump and getting into this was because I felt that what was happening in the United States was the regulatory agencies were against crypto, and that I had to do something. Especially, there was a consideration. I thought, like, maybe what happened in May to us was political, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But to the actual dinner, one of the things that people ask me, they'll be like, "Is Trump, like, is he actually like a real funny guy in person?" And the answer is like, yes, he's really funny, and he loves to he kind of loves to poke at people and razz them a bit, and it's just it's fun to kind of experience that in person. But I could talk a little bit about his reaction after I maybe share some of the background and story of how we actually led up into
yeah. So let's rewind back here. So take us back to May, I guess, is probably where this story started. Maybe set a little bit of context on Exodus and how you guys were pushing to be a American public crypto company, because you guys had some challenges and wasn't easy for you under the old administration. So tell us about that.
Yeah, let me actually rewind just a little bit more to 2021.
Mhm.
And for those of you that don't know, so in 2021, we're the first company in the United States where individuals could download Exodus, and this was an SEC qualified offering, and they could buy Exodus stock directly inside of Exodus wallet. So you could buy stock with Bitcoin, Ethereum, or USDC. And so that's where it started. And that way, again, it was an SEC qualified offering through what was called the Regulation A. Now, our stock after this moment, our stock was is digitally represented as a token on Algorand. And so it's actually common stock. That means a retail person can own the stock on the blockchain inside of Exodus Wallet. So this was all back in 2021.
Which is so ahead of its time. Like, I think people don't realize how you guys you were almost too early, to be honest, like a bit to your own detriment, right? Like this year, this is coming, right? Tokenized equities, tokenized talks. But you guys, anyways, so just to set that.
Absolutely, it's coming. And the reason we did this, for anybody that's transferred stock from one brokerage to another brokerage, it's called an ACAT transfer. It's a mega pain. You got to fill out forms. In some scenarios, you actually have to print a PDF and fill it out, and then they want you to mail it in. They make it real hard for you. It's a pain. And so we were thinking, like, wait a second. Number one, what if we create a platform where people can do this directly inside of Exodus Wallet, because we have 5.5 million customers? What if we do it that way? And number two, what if we make it so that transferring stock between individuals is as easy as transferring crypto? Now, of course, there's some regulatory framework behind the scenes that makes it so that this is possible, but still makes it as easy as transferring crypto. So that was ultimately the reason as to why we did this. Now, what we didn't recognize is that early in this process, that our intention wasn't actually to become like a full-fledged public company, and I'm going to do the earnings calls every quarter, and we're going to we're going to file with the SEC. Like that was never the intention. And I don't know if I knew that in advance, maybe we wouldn't have gone down this path. Who knows? I don't know, but that's how it happened. And so as we were kind of marching down this path, we did the offering in May in 2021. We realized like, oh wow, there's actually limits on the Regulation A where they give you an exemption, like revenue exemptions. And so in 2021, and this is all public, our revenue ended up being 95.8 million, and so we exceeded the exemptions, and so it basically kicked off like a 2-year clock, which that meant that we had to file as actually a public company with the same regulatory requirements that Google, Amazon, Apple that they have. And so we're like, oh wow, okay, so we're going down this path, and so that's what happened, because it's the law, so you got to do it. So we filed all the paperwork for this, and that ended up being early of the filing may have been late 2023 or early 2024. And in this filing, it's kind of unorthodox how this all happened, but you can do the filing, and we already had the SEC review for our stock to be to retail. And so it doesn't actually require like the SEC to go and actually do like an IPO, like we're going to look through everything and we're going to check.
So it's just a formality, this filing, basically.
Exactly. And so the New York Stock Exchange understood that, and they said, "Yep, this looks great. Come, ring the bell, and you can uplist your stock directly into the New York Stock Exchange." And we're like, "This sounds wonderful. Let's do that." And so we did that. This was early May of 2024. And so we're like, this is great. We're going to, list in the New York Stock Exchange. We flew out 130 people, friends, family, employees, just to celebrate this moment. A banquet, One World Tower, the whole thing, right? It couldn't have been any more perfect. And so the actual date was May 9th. May 9th. That was when we're going to do all this. May 8th, I find out that it's not going to happen. And I got a call from our CFO, and he's like, they pulled the plug. I'm like, what do you mean they pulled the plug? We pulled the plug? What? Pull the plug? What are you talking about? Like, we're out here. Like, we're all out here. We're here. We got the One World Tower booked tomorrow. Like, I'm looking for the steak at the One World Tower. Like, we're here. Here we are. It's like, no, they talked to the SEC. The SEC's got concerns about the fact of that we have that the filing hasn't been treated like an IPO, where the SEC actually does the formal review. I'm like, we already did that in 2021, and that's what the law says too. It's like, I know. I mean, and so we're like, this can't be happening. This can't be happening.
Oh my God.
So at that moment in time, I mean, you can imagine how devastated I felt.
Mm-hmm.
And so to go to the company, the team, and I remember I walked in the door, and there's some of the leadership team, they were meeting and talking about some of the strategy for the year, and they could see just the
devastation
in my eyes. They could just see it, and they're like, what's wrong? Everything okay?
Did your turtle die?
Yeah, no kidding. Did your turtle? Yeah. And I'm like, guys, I got bad news. The listing's not happening tomorrow. And it was just the room was just deadpan silent, and you could start seeing tears in people's eyes. And so that was one of like I got goosebumps on my arms right now even telling the story. That was one of the hardest days of my professional career. Now, I will say that leading in to the next day, May 9th, even though we did not end up ringing the bell or listing on the New York Stock Exchange, it still ended up being one of the best days of my professional career, because as a remote company that has employees all over the world, we were able to come together and celebrate a record quarter anyways. And so as any observer would have seen it, they would have thought like, wait, what happened? What IPO of the morning or anything like that, or what New York Stock Exchange listing? They wouldn't have known. People were so happy to be together, which actually, that was great. However, of course, the next day I'm like, I'm not just going to let this rest. And on behalf of shareholders, I got to figure this out. And so then I just remember, I think it was May 9th or May 10th when Trump was at the Libertarian Convention and he's like, we are going to protect Americans' right to self-custody. I'm like, wait, what? And so that's kind of the lead up into where we get with the dinner.
Where we go next. And I'm guessing you probably weren't given much of an explanation. You were probably just told it's not happening, right? You probably don't in these cases you feel like not only you blindsided, you probably feel completely helpless and like, hey, where's my rights here, right? Like this is just totally taken away from you, which really sets the stage for the political landscape that we were in and how much that regime was pushing everything down across the board from all the wells notices they were throwing out, stopping you guys from IPOing, et cetera, et cetera. Okay, so now take us up to the Trump dinner, and then I don't want to skip too fast through the rest of it, but I want to get to more like what we think happens next for the rest of this year. So let's finish the story first.
Yeah, you bet. So this happened, and I was thinking, it's like, wow, this is, to your point, like what's going on here? Yes, the SEC is telling us that they want to treat it like an IPO and they want to do a diligent review. That's what they're telling us. But I see, as you see and everybody else saw, all the Wells notices and all the stuff, and I'm like, I'm concerned here that this might be some sort of trap of some sort. I don't know. I will at least comment that on this particular process, the staff at the SEC, the frontline staff of the SEC throughout this entire process actually maintained full professionalism, and they actually stuck to their word in the way of actually diligently reviewing it. But at that time, I didn't know that. I still thought like maybe there was some political motivations here. I didn't know. And so then I was asked, it was so kind of fast forward into June, or maybe it was early July, right before the Bitcoin Nashville conference. I was like, wait a second. Okay, so he's raising money. And I was asked to donate money to Trump and his campaign. And I said, yeah, okay, I'll donate. And I saw that, like, they were asking, I think that the max that you could donate at that time from an individual was, I think it was $884,000. And we're not in the bull market yet, so $884,000 is, I mean, that's a lot of money, right? That's a lot of money, and so I'm like, oh wow, okay, and the company couldn't do it legally. The company couldn't do it because there's all restrictions on company money. From an individual, there's less restrictions. So I'm like, okay, and they're like, you're going to be able to meet him at the Nashville conference, and then we can set up another meeting, like a more personal meeting, and so I said, okay, let's do it. And so I was able to first meet him at the Bitcoin conference and get a picture with him. And that's just, so fast, like you're kind of in and out picture, and then that's over. And there's kind of a little conversation of a much bigger group. So we get the picture and have a little kind of, there's like a round table meeting, like 40, 50 people at the Nashville conference. And then that was that. And then it was scheduled maybe for September, where they're like, hey, we would like you to come meet Trump at Trump Tower, and you can tell this story to him about what happened. And I'm like, that sounds incredible. I would love to do that. And they're like, okay, it's come on out. So I went out there, and I'm sitting at this long dining room table, eating mashed potatoes and the steak.
And how many people are at this dinner?
It is so Trump, myself, 3 other donors, and then the organizer.
Wow. Okay, so this is a very intimate,
very, very, very intimate dinner. And so he's like, oh, okay, guys, tell me about your businesses. And I just went in with the story of what happened. And like, look, we're a crypto company that was born in Nebraska, right? And like, how many people hear that, right? Like, it's either the Valley or New York or whatever, right? But born in Nebraska, and we have these number of employees in the United States, and we were going to do this listing, and we're going to ring the bell, and it was big excitement. And he's like, wait a second, you still got a list, right? They just didn't let you ring the bell. I'm like, no, Mr. President, they stopped everything. And then another one of the donors jumped in and he's like, yeah, he's like, Mr. President, we have seen IPO activity just fall off a cliff. And he was just so surprised that that actually could happen in America, and that it would play out in this way. So that's how it went through with the dinner. And it's just
You
what.
you never I remember Mark Andreessen went on Joe Rogan a few months ago and talked about a lot of the companies that he invested in, a lot of crypto companies getting debanked. Did you ever experience any debanking?
We did, but it was we had enough bank accounts that even being debanked from one account
Mm.
didn't have a material impact to us. I mean,
But
yeah,
you did get debanked.
yeah,
Like you
yeah,
did
yeah.
have
It's
some
actually
banking. That's
it was
crazy.
Wells Fargo. I'll say it. It was Wells Fargo. Wells Fargo debanked us. Yes,
No way. And you personally or the company?
the company. Yeah,
Wow.
the company. The Wells Fargo.
You
I
never
mean,
got
that's a good
debanked
question
personally.
because I did have a personal account there. So it is. I don't remember. I don't have a personal account there anymore. So it
You
could have been like
probably.
I'm like, you guys, you're gonna cancel my company account. I'm gonna cancel my personal account, or it was you got like they canceled my personal account too. I don't remember that. I just remember they canceled our company account.
Wow. Yeah, these are the things that I don't it's very hard to conceptualize for our listeners and even myself, the weight that was pushing down
Mhm.
crypto and tech innovation in America in the last political regime. It's so much bigger than I think any of us realize, and that's where everybody is like, especially right now, like there's such a like a negative sentiment sort of in the crypto space from a retail perspective because everyone's like, why are my bags not higher and altcoins are struggling? But it's like I just sit here and I'm like, man, you're so impatient. Just be patient. What is going to come in the next 4 years and even in the next 3 to 6 months, people don't even realize how the floodgates are really opening. Okay, I want to talk more about what I'm talking about right now, but just to finish the story, wrap up the story. What happened?
Yeah, so just real quick with like to your point of the banking, early on there we had to like we pay all of our salaries in Bitcoin, and so that's pretty uncommon for crypto companies. But we did that early on to create this insulation, knowing that there might be struggles in the future, and so knowing that our employees would still be able to receive an income for working at the company, so that provided insulation. So to the rest of the story, so we had that, we were able to tell them the story, and I think that was at minimum just to let him know about the problems that were happening in the regulatory landscape with the SEC. I think that was helpful. But again, I will at least say that for the frontline staff that we worked with on a regular basis, they did actually diligently. The review took a while. It took a while, but they did do the diligent review and step by step by step by step. Now it actually they finished the review post the election. So it's tough to say if there was any political aspect to it behind the scenes or not. But post election, they finished the review, and so we had the option to say like, okay, we can list on the New York Stock Exchange and we can ring the bell on the same day, and that's what most companies do, and that's what we plan to do on May 9th. But I said to the team, like, nope, nope, we're gonna separate these.
Not taking
I don't,
that risk again.
fool me once, I'm like, I'm not gonna have this happen again. So the listing actually happened on December 18th. And then we planned the actual bell ringing, the opening bell ringing on January 8th. And so we were able to go out there on January 8th, ring the bell, and officially like celebrate being the first American company to list on a public exchange, and then have our stock digitally represented on a blockchain, which is huge. And so we were the first, but there's going to be many more to follow.
Mhm, mhm. Any predictions for how many crypto IPOs we might see this year?
This year, I think that we will see at least five. Because bear in mind, and here's why I say five, because five might sound kind of low to some listeners. The reason for that is that it was heavily dependent upon the election. So if you're a company, you're like, you see the election, Trump wins, pro crypto candidate wins, all of a sudden, like, okay, we are in a crypto friendly environment now, and in more of a business friendly environment. Let's get our filings together. And to do that takes months alone. And then once you submit the filings, that takes another 6 months of SEC review. So I anticipate that you probably say about 5, but I think the markets continue to stay strong into 2026. I mean, for crypto companies, I mean, we could easily see 15, 20 plus in 2026.
And the impact of that can't be understated, because you are legitimizing crypto to the TradFi market. The more public companies we have, I mean, we had Coinbase earnings report just happened yesterday, and that's huge for all of Wall Street to sit there and be like, "Whoa, that's how much Coinbase made last year. That was their profit." Like, oh wow, we did not think that would happen.
I don't think Wall Street is not ready yet to see how crypto comes in and eats most traditional banks. Like Coinbase, to their credit, they've built a great platform, and they may disagree with some of the decisions of focus on a base and EVM L2, things like that. But they have still, to their credit, they have built a great platform that has attracted a lot of people, and so if I'm like a JP Morgan, the biggest bank in the world, one of the biggest banks in the world, and the biggest bank in America, like I know because they're the biggest, they're not scared, but they should be. They should be scared that Coinbase is going to come in and start eating their lunch. And other companies like Exodus, we're going to be doing the same thing, except we're just really focused on the self-custody aspect. But if you think about it, for a consumer to think about signing up for a bank account today. When you go into a bank, you're like, hey, I want to sign up to a bank account. They're like, okay, give me all your forms and take your time, and it take at least a good half an hour to do it. And it's just so slow and antiquated, right? But with a crypto wallet, all you need to do is just download it to get started. And for a consumer, you can start building a portfolio, and you can start, you get some Solana, you get some Ethereum, you get some Bitcoin, but with your Solana, you can start earning, interest yield on your tokens and assets. And so for, millennials and Gen Z and beyond, that becomes super compelling, right? The Snapchat generation, the I want it now generation, does not want to go inside a bank and mess around. And so I just don't think people are ready for what's about to come in that regard.
Well, and what happens when, and I'd love to get your take on how quickly this will happen, but what happens when right now crypto is dominated by crypto tokens? You can't buy equities or many RWAs. Stable coins has absolutely exploded, so you can buy US dollars on chain now, and that has been one of the fastest growing use cases for crypto. But we're also seeing RWAs start to really take off, like billions per week. Credit is coming on chain, treasuries, like all different parts of these real world assets. What happens when you can, through your wallet, through your Exodus wallet, also buy a GameStop or Robinhood or any, or Nvidia or Tesla, and you could, when is that coming, and what is going to be the impact of that?
I think that we are maybe a few years from that.
Oh, really? You think we're still a few years?
It's going to come. I think it's going to come fast. I really do.
Yeah.
Because
But it's not this year. Though.
No, it's not, because for there's still a lot of things that I think need to happen. But for a consumer, why do I need to have a Robinhood app and an Exodus wallet? Why do I need to have those things? If, as a consumer, I just care, okay, I've got my Bitcoin, I've got my Solana, it's earning some yield. Maybe I have my Tesla stock, maybe some Coca-Cola earning me a 2.9% dividend. I have all this in one interface. And it's all about holding, storing, and managing these digital assets. But it's not going to end there, right? Like just the simple notion of like a concert ticket, right? Like I bought some tickets to the comedian Shane Gillis, right? And I wanted to. I was like, crap, I can't make to the actual show, and I'm like, I want to get rid of these tickets, and it's such a massive pain to do it. Like I can't even press a button to sell. It's like, sorry, you cannot sell these tickets. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like I wish I could just call up a buddy and be like, hey man, you want to buy these tickets? Yeah, I do. Okay, cool. And then I just send them the tickets. Right?
Instant transfer.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it should be that.
Trustworthy.
It
Yeah.
should be that
Yeah.
simple. And then when you think about things like, I remember I sold a car a few years ago, and the person came over, and I'm like, wow, here I am. I have the title out, and I'm signing my name on it. He's signing his name on it. He's got to take it down to the DMV. And it's just like, this is insane.
Mhm.
We can solve all of this with crypto, with NFTs, and we can make it so that a person can hold all of these assets inside of a wallet. And we can do it safely too to protect consumers.
Mhm. I just imagine anytime anybody on our show says the word NFTs, I know that every listener out there's like ears start bleeding because the way they think about NFTs is from the
Everybody thinks it's
speculation
so.
and they lost money. So they're
I
like, you
totally
know,
like.
but the tech, the NFT tech that is going to change so many industries, especially those industries which are held by monopolies like Ticketmaster, Live Nation, like
Yes.
that is definitely going to come. Okay, let's talk. You and I were chatting before the show about the impact of Trump launching a meme coin. I think that was such a shock. Nobody had that on their bingo card for this year. What are your thoughts on? I don't need your thoughts on Trump coin or
Yeah.
actually that part of it, but what's coming because that happened? What are your thoughts?
Yeah. So here you have the president of the United States launching a meme coin to people all over the world. And historically, for those that for those that are in the industry and are building the industry, know that if you want to launch a token, you have to go to this moment in time. It almost feels like just through so many hoops to make sure that you're not breaking any laws. And you have to even be careful, like, okay, we're gonna launch this token, and we can't let Americans even get this token. We can't do that, right? And so for the president of the United States to say, hey, I'm launching this meme coin, this token, here you go, and anybody in the world, Americans included, can come, get it and buy the token, like have fun. It's a collectible, have fun. What that means is that obviously the president of the United States doing this means that the SEC regulations are going to change so that, I mean, anybody can do this. And today, I think it's safe to say that you already see some artists like let's say like Iggy Azalea, like she launched a token, right, a meme coin before all this. And so it just communicates that it is okay now to launch these tokens, build community around those tokens. And I think it's going to really redefine capital markets, because right now to actually IPO and go down that path of building out and selling equity, there's just a long regulatory process. And I understand why that process exists. It's to protect retail consumers. I get that. I understand that thought process, right? But still, a retail consumer can walk into a casino and put $1,000 down on red, and press a button, and there's no regulations against that. So clearly, as a society, we were talking out of both sides of our mouth, and I think that we have to figure out what that path is to allow to empower consumers to do what they want to do with their money, because there's already laws against fraud and scams and things like that. So I think what's going to happen is I think we're going to start seeing an explosion of meme coin creation. I wouldn't shock me if
Like more than we have right now. We are.
oh my gosh. I think
Like,
like a Taylor Swift, like maybe you get a
mm,
Taylor Swift, Travis Kelsey token or something like
mhm.
that. You're gonna see explosion of meme coin token creation. I think you're gonna see an explosion of token creation in general. And I think the SEC will probably add a little clarity and guidelines on how to use it for raising capital. And that's going to, again, it's going to completely redefine capital markets so that when you consider platforms like Exodus and other platform like a Coinbase or whatever, where as a consumer, like you can come in and be like, wait, okay, I can get my Trump coin and wait a second, this this business, this, I don't know, this pet shop that I go to buy my turtles, they've got a token. And I'm going to buy their token, and maybe it's a fun kind of collectible. Maybe it's a capital raising instrument with, again, maybe some more guidance and clarity from the SEC. But the ability, we already know the ability to do this is a one click on certain platforms. Just one click, create a token, and it's out there. And I think we're just going to see this explode over the next year.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I completely agree. And I think that, like, the thing that I keep thinking is, meme coins are very one-dimensional in the way that they are understood right now. They are mainly understood as purely casino gambling scams a lot of the time, right? Like no fundamentals. And I think that we need to like reframe it in our mind, because we're going to see, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw a Doge ETF this year. So we are probably going to see an ETF. We're probably going to see a Litecoin ETF. And at this point, honestly, Litecoin basically is a meme coin at this point. So we're going to see meme coins have ETFs. What does that mean? That means that Wall Street now has to pay attention and understand this type of capital formation, right? And then at the same time, we're also going to see the ability, as you said, for other legitimate celebrities, other legitimate attention grabbers, like the people that have the most attention in the world, can now also go launch their own collectible token. And who knows what they do with that. But what that means is we're giving these people who own attention new ways to raise capital. And yes, there will definitely be scams, and buyer beware, and do your own research and all that, not financial advice. But it really is going to, there is going to be a shift in capital formation that I think we just have never seen before. And then tack onto that AI and all these AI agents that are going to be out there using crypto, trading crypto, because that's the way they're going to exchange and trade money. And they could have a lot of them will have their own tokens. And look, it just feels like we're so early. And then at the same time, I think about, you have all, because of regulation opening up, I think you're going to see a flood of entrepreneurs and a flood of VC money coming back into the space, which has been gone for a long time. The FTX hangover still exists as well. We have not seen even like growth level fundraising has not happened much. So you're going to see all this money coming back into these entrepreneurs that are experimenting and trying out to just build user apps. And we don't know what the big user app is going to be, but it feels like this is the year where we're going to see these bigger apps, and we're going to see crypto start to reach more mainstream adoption beyond just speculation. I know we have stable coins, and obviously that one is like taken off and can't slow that one down. But it feels like there's this confluence of all these events happening, and we're all just sitting here complaining that our bags are down. But the next, I don't know, the next 3 to 6 months, I could just see things happening faster than they've ever happened.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I mean, I think it's just, you said it, these influencers, they're going to be creating these coins and tokens so that they can help to even build community, right? Like imagine if, okay, I'm a Taylor Swift again, right? I'm Taylor Swift, and I got, Taylor coin or whatever it is, right? And I'm like, hey, to all my Taylor Swift, my Swifties, right? The Swifty coin. You hold 10 of these, I'm going to have this special event for you, or you're going to get a first release on an album or things like that. So you can really do interesting community building with these tokens and coins that I think we're going to see more of that. I was going to say, I think we're going to see we even started scratching the surface of today. When you think of a wallet, you're like, cool, I've got my assets, I've got my again, my Bitcoin, my Ethereum, my Solana, whatever it is, right? Nobody has really cracked the code yet, I think, on bringing social into wallets, right? And you can just imagine something just really as simple as, in the world of Web3 in DeFi, that you can do these bet. Like imagine this, okay? I placed a bet on the Super Bowl, right? Because Super Bowl, like betting it's legal in America now, right? Sports betting is legal in America. So imagine you place this bet and you're like, I bet money on the Kansas City Chiefs. And I did, and sadly I lost. So I bet money on the Kansas City Chiefs, and then it goes out to my, like, say on X, right? On Twitter, right? Hey everybody, I bet on the Kansas City Chiefs, and then people are engaging, like, no, the Eagles, and back and forth. And so you can imagine this world where wallets and social comes together. And I think that's going to have a lot of interesting dynamics. And then you hit on AI. Oh my gosh. I don't even think people are prepared for how that's going to change things when in the intersection of crypto. Like, to your point, these agents are just like ChatGPT just released, people may have heard of it, called Operator. And I think they have it limited to just the highest tier. And so for people that have Operator, like, you can be like, okay, Operator, go buy me some vitamins on Amazon, right? And it goes and it does it, pulls up Amazon, but then you got to stop and it's going to log in for you, and you got to log in. And then of course in Amazon, everybody's got their credit card on Amazon, so that's, that works fine. But there's a lot of platforms and services where you may not have your credit card in. And so you can imagine a world where you empower your agent. You're like, hey agent, here's a partial access to my wallet, right? And you're only limited to 500 or maybe $1,000, and I want you to book me this trip down to Miami or something like that. And your budget's $1,000, and away you go, right? And it's got your stable coins, and it just does it on your behalf. The world is not prepared that these agents are. I actually think that on online shopping, and that I would say in, let's say, 5 years, 90% of online shopping is done by these AI agents, that's going to blow people's minds when that happens.
Whoa, that's crazy to think about. What are your thoughts on wallets and AI? I mean, obviously, you guys are a wallet company. You're one of the biggest wallets in America, and there's all these D DeFi or DEFAI. It's such a weird term, but all these wallets that are trying to integrate AI, and it feels like, I mean, from a user perspective, I'm like, yeah, give it to me, right? Like, yeah, damn right, I want to be able to tell my wallet to go do yield for me and to go bridge for me or sell this and find the best rate. But also, security and trust are a bit of an issue here too. Where are we at right now, and where do you see us going?
Yeah, I think that it's still early. Like, we had some early prototypes where it was kind of fun, where we would kind of, behind the scenes, we had this prototype that was hooked up to Exodus, and you could be like, you could talk to your wallet, right? And you would like, what's my balance? And it would tell you your balance, and like how much Bitcoin, and it would tell you. But then you'd be like, hey, actually talk to me like you're Lil Wayne or something like that. And I'd be like, yo, dog, your balance is, and like it kind of took on like a fun personality, and that was kind of fun, but it felt more like a toy at that moment. And so I see the intersection of wallets and AI mostly happening through these agents. That's where I think it's really going to take off. I don't see at this moment in time where you're just going to have just this empty box, and you're going to say, "Tell me my balance," or type to it. We are humans. We are visual creatures, right? We like to see like this nice donut portfolio, and you can see, you visually right away. You see how much Bitcoin and Solana and all that. And so I don't. I know some people are pursuing these kind of text interfaces. Like, I've heard the phrase like, "No interface is the best interface," and I get why people say that cute phrase. But I don't see that happening like that. I think it's really going to happen through agents. And I think, yeah, if the example you gave of like yield farming, telling your wallet to go find me the best yield farming opportunities, like that might happen through an agent. But I still think that we're quite early in that regard.
Mhm, mhm. What are your, before we let you go, JP? What are your thoughts on this cycle? Where do you think we are in the cycle? Are you bullish? Do you think we're at a top right now and it's over, as a lot of retail seems to be calling?
No, no, it's not over at all. No, no, we're just beginning. Like, look, I, I will say, for your listeners, I am more of a perma bull And so everybody should know that like I have this bias towards like, yes, like, feeling really bullish. But I think, and I have said this before, or I've said this before, and I'm going to say it again. This time is different, and this time I think it's different is because we have such a strong pro crypto business administration, and now we finally have Wall Street with these ETFs fueling all this. We have big institutional interest, and I think that the amount of capital that's still sitting on the sidelines that's going to come in is going to be crazy. So personally, I think that I could see Bitcoin this cycle flipping gold. And that looks
This cycle.
cycle. I'll say it right.
Whoa.
Cycle. Yeah.
That is a bold prediction.
The cycle.
Holy jeez. What is gold right now? Gold's 18 trillion?
Yeah, so
I
that
think,
puts
roughly.
Bitcoin a little over 800,000 if I recall.
Wow. That is the boldest prediction we have had on the Milk Road Show.
Now, will it stay above that the whole time? No. We know how these things work. And everybody that's been a part of this industry for a while sees it run up, and then it's painful when it runs down. This time around, will it be as painful on the way down? If we're talking about these kinds of numbers, then yeah, it could still be pretty painful.
Right.
But yes, no, I do think that we'll see that, and here's why. Let me just put a little bit more meat on this as to why I see it this way. We have the president talking about creating the strategic national reserve, right? And holding Bitcoin. If you are any other country, you can't just be sitting on the sidelines and say, hey, well, we're going to let America just get all the Bitcoin and we're just going to sit and watch them get Bitcoin. No, you're going to be doing the same thing. And a lot of them are probably already doing it behind the scenes. So
yes, agreed.
I think that's going to be one of the big catalysts here.
Yeah. I think it's an arms race at this point, and I agree. I think there are already countries doing it that have not publicly announced it, and I don't know when it happens in the U.S. It feels like a when, not an if, to me at this point. Although there are still a lot of people who think it's still an if, but I don't know that it happens this year. I think July 23rd is the date by which Trump's executive order has a deadline to make a proposal for what a national stockpile or national reserve would look like. And there seems to be this talk that it could include other assets as well, which we don't need to dive into that conversation of whether it should or shouldn't. But
I'm happy to, but I understand.
I know. Yeah, I know you got strong opinions on Bitcoin only in it. But the point is, July 23rd, we'll see some sort of proposal. Let's say the proposal was we should do it. You're still talking months of it going through Congress and the Senate before it would actually happen. So like this is time. The thing that could happen sooner was, let's say they said they were going to do it, and they might say, we're not going to sell the Bitcoin that we currently have, which is about 200,000 that they've gotten from various like basically seized all this Bitcoin. They haven't bought the Bitcoin. So I agree though. I completely agree. I don't know about your very bold prediction of it beating gold in this cycle. I think eventually, for sure, it's going higher than gold. And I think if you're a long-term investor, like just buy and hold and don't worry about the dips. Because as you said, we're going to have a run up. I think we're going to have a great rest of the year. And then, yeah, there will be a dip again. Are we going to dip, I think we're probably going to dip. The percentage of the dip is going to be less than it was last time, and going to continue to dampen as a result of the ETF and all these various flows. But JP, very bold prediction. Wow. I'm going to write that one down. We'll get you back on the show at the end of the cycle.
Like I said, when that happens, I'm going to shoot you an email right away. I'm like, all right, let's go. Let's get on the show.
Let's go.
It's here. No, I think, look, your call on the National Reserve and the timing, I think that's accurate, because look, even if they're planning on it, like it's going to take some time, and maybe people are stockpiling right now. I mean, who knows?
Yeah, it's true. JP, absolute pleasure to get you on the show today. Thanks for joining us. Really appreciate you sharing your story so openly, because these are the stories that really give a perspective on what it's been like to build a crypto company in America and what you went through and the challenges. And Now we're on the other side of that complete 180, and just like the floodgates are opening, it's going to be huge. I want to know, everybody listening in, I'm really curious to know if you guys want us to talk more about IPOs. One thing we're always thinking about on the show is like, should we talk more about public companies, and should you be investing in public companies, or should we just stick to crypto assets? So let us know in the comments if you guys want to hear more public company talk, or if you guys want us to stick to crypto assets. JP, thanks again for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening in, everybody. We'll see you again tomorrow. Have a wicked awesome day. As always, if you liked today's episode, please hit subscribe and make sure you follow us so you don't miss out on the next one. There's also a link in the description to our free 5-minute daily newsletter where we simplify crypto for you while making you laugh. And if you're willing to step up your crypto investing game, we're going to also leave a link for Milk Road Pro. You get access to our portfolio where you can see exactly what we are buying. This is your #1 resource to help you invest successfully in crypto. One final note, this show is for educational purposes only, and nothing we say is financial advice. Investing in crypto or any asset is risky, and you should never invest more than you can afford to lose. Thanks so much for listening in, my friends. Have a wicked awesome day.